Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name That Umbrella Guy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
I'm feeling fly, yeah, I'm so damn fresh. Got that platinum grill, blingin' in the chest. Diamonds in my mouth, shining when I speak. That umbrella guy, flossing speaking geek. Ice on my teeth, I'm dripping so hard. Platinum grills, I'm the king of the boulevard. Throwing money in the club, making haters mad. I'm the baddest in the game, no one gets a pass. Ooh yeah. Crushing all these lines, yeah, I feel fly. Rolling on the dubs, that umbrella guy. Iced out flow on the boulevard. You ain't a comic gangster, don't be playing hard. Ice on my teeth, I'm flying so high. Dropping the bass, that umbrella guy. One drill to rule them all, one drill to bind them. Baby, I'm so iced out, gonna blind them. Rolling in town, I'm an army of one. Doing verbal walk-bys, blazing like the sun. Riding in my whip, crushing false accusers. Dropping off the bass on the real abusers. Yeah. Living life fast, no time for the slow. Justice on my mind, stacking up on that flow. Life in the fast lane, no time to blink. Ice on my teeth, watch it when I speak. Chillin' on my rhymes, never missing a beat. Ice on my teeth, yeah, I'm living that sweet. That umbrella guy, bringing the platinum heat.
All right, what's up, folks? How's it going today? Man, the freaking... the internet did not want us going live today. It was actually very strange. There's been twice now that YouTube has decided that it did not want StreamYards, the streaming service that attaches you to the platform, to actually be able to go live. It's done it twice with a specific type of message. It's very strange, but give me 1 second here. I'm setting something up here real fast. My freaking YouTube has gone, like I said, nuts. it's dropped sometimes I wonder, like, certain topics, does it not like certain topics anymore? Does it get mad when you talk about, and I don't really think it's the hurting one. I wonder if it's the protecting kids one. I don't know. Strange when you talk about kids and protecting them, and every platform and their mother bans people for it. Oh, man. Anyway, how you folks doing today? Hope you're doing great. We are going to talk about some crazy stuff. Man, T's T, that's wild. Thank you for the 20 gifted memberships. That's wild there. Thank you for that. Appreciate it for sure. Man, that's nuts. Bad vibes. Thanks for the 45 months. That umbrella gone. blessing us with more lulls. I know you want to see a funny one today. This is gonna be good. You're gonna love our start, our kickoff one. This is good. So, and also Fallen Hero. Thank you for the gifted membership too. Appreciate you, my friend. Man, starting the week off with a bang. Oh man, I gotta get my laughing cigar out. It's bad. I'm like, do I have a cigar that says this is really funny and stupid? And I was like, maybe this one, maybe this new one. It's short and pudgy and funny, just like this laugher topic. So, if you kept up with the Amber Heard insanity, we haven't talked about this in a long time, by the way, because there's a couple of topics that deal with it that just popped up on the radar. But the best one that I have seen is the fact that Amber Heard, one of her first lawyers, you know, we talked about her a few times because she was she's a criminal in her own right, you know, and big time, actually. Wow. Oh yes. Oh my God. Look at that. What a laugh, says Janice. Thanks for the 10 there. Sharp. Sarah Michelle is online. It's legal too. That is funny. Also, and Bessie Knox, thanks for the 2. Let's get this party started. Sorry, I saw that legal team wouldn't come in, and I was like, wait a minute. Wait a what now? Okay, so I'm gonna just pull this freaking article up here. I went to. It's something else. It's also crazy the way this is framed, okay? Because the framing for specific people, they always get the nicest foot forward, you know? So Roberta Kaplan. If you don't know Roberta Kaplan, by the way, Roberta Kaplan is one of the people that actually managed to destroy the Me Too movement. I kid you not. If you're like, how's that, Tug? Well, do you remember Time's Up? You know, I'm just giving you a little flashback for this before we talk about this. Do you remember Time's Up? You know, they go to award ceremonies in Hollywood and they'd yell, oh man, time's up. Tell them time's up, right? Well, Time's Up wasn't a hashtag movement. Time's Up actually was supposedly a nonprofit, you know, that was going out there representing women that have, it didn't represent all victims. It only represented women. It made it very clear about that, by the way. But it represented women that could not afford their legal bills, you know, when it came to accusations. Like if you wanted to bring something against somebody, you know, say something terrible had happened and you actually want to go forward, they were supposed to be there for you. Well, the only problem was you found out that it was a total ass fraud. And the lady that, one of the co-founders of that, there were 2 of them, Roberta Kaplan was one of them. They took, out of the money that they put together in the first year, less than 1/3 of it went to the stated cause. They had more money going to a handful of lawyers than that. Then Roberta Kaplan gets tied in with Andrew Cuomo. And that destroys Time's Up. A bunch of stuff leaks. And you've got to remember that she is a big time listen and believe advocate, right? Well, she gets tied in with Andrew Cuomo. And what happened is that publicly she's saying, yes, you listen and believe anyone that makes accusations. You just believe them straight up. But behind the scenes, she's giving counsel on how to stop people from actually being able to go out and talk about certain issues. Which, you know, again, hypocrisy, right? The thing is, though, as you see the headlines here, she is a media darling. She is an absolute 100% media darling. I mean, if you look her up, she's one of the lawyers that went after a certain orange man, you know, and anytime you're a media darling, you become unquestionable. You know, it becomes one of those things where, here, give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. I want you to see, you see that headline that I pulled up there? Well, I want you to see other headlines, the way it comes up about her. So, you also have how a Trump meeting, legal, hashtag Me Too, legal legend lost her firm. Lost her firm. That's right. Now, how did she lose her firm? Look at all the headlines here. They love to bleed on about how great of a person she is. She's done all this horrible shit. Horrible stuff. But they hold her up as an advocate and the greatest person ever because she went after the orange man. They love that about it. And again, you can hate the orange man. You can love the orange man. I don't give a freaking crap about that. What I give a crap about is the hypocrisy that Amber Heard's old lawyer right here. You know, she also represented Harvey Weinstein, Jesse Smollett. She's represented a very sordid handful of people. But look at how that's... she worked as a lawyer, made herself a hero to the left. But behind the scenes, she was known for her poor treatment of colleagues. Apparently, she was such a monster behind the scenes, according to many people, that she couldn't maintain a firm to keep going with. So she had to leave her own freaking firm. I mean, again, there are a lot of headlines about this. She leaves her firm amidst misconduct allegations. You know, I mean, just so many wonderful ones. But my favorite thing, when this first came up, all right, I'm going to go back to this article in just a second, but my favorite thing about this was when this first kicked off, they wouldn't tell you that she was leaving because of any type of reason. They actually, you had places like Rutgers, they just put it like this. Trump courtroom foe Roberta Kaplan starts a new law firm. That sounds nice, doesn't it? They wouldn't tell you that she was leaving under this cloud. And this cloud, like, again, if you think, see, there's been a lot of discussion about holding politicians, holding, you know, other people accountable, especially, you know, after today's Supreme Court decision. And I was like, okay, well, we can do that. Let's hold the Supreme Court accountable. Let's hold lawyers like Roberta Kaplan. I can't believe she walked away. Like, she should have never gotten away with what she did. I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars that just poofed into nothing. But again, you get headlines like this. She's the biggest advocate ever. She's the greatest person, you know, she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's amazing when you look at it. So let's look at the article about this. And again, it's a lot of puffery too. It took a hot minute for me to even find out what the heck happened. You know, she's something else. You know, they always give you these pictures too that make her, they either make her look really nice or really harmless. You know, I've noticed, like, the media loves this woman. But she has done more cause. Let me say that again. I said more cause. More harm to causes. More cause to harm. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. More harm to causes in the last few years that they supposedly backed. I mean, again, when Time's Up fell apart, 50 Hollywood celebrities. Like, think about this. You know you have power when you've got 50 Hollywood celebs, big ones. They get dirty because of this. But what happens? Nothing. nothing happens to her at all. Crazy, right? So let's check this out here. Again, I want you to see the puffery that comes with it too. It's so nuts. So last fall, senior partners at Kaplan, you notice, this is her law firm. Like, she's the first name at the freaking door, man. I mean, we're not talking about when they say, oh, well, she's a founder. No, she's not a founder. She's the founder. So she was such a menace, she gets kicked out of her own company. Man, Amber Heard's people are just trash fires, aren't they? So senior partner at Kaplan, again, Roberta Kaplan, Hecker, and Fink, a New York law firm known for championing liberal causes, made a fateful decision. They were going to sideline their hard-charging and crusading founder, Roberta A. Kaplan. And you see the spin to that. Isn't it amazing? Think about if this were somebody they didn't like. Imagine how this would be framed. Again, never paid any. Most people don't even know about the Time's Up thing. They don't even mention this kind of stuff. The reign of one of the country's most prominent lawyers was coming to an end. I remember when she was bleeding on about about Johnny Depp and about Adam Waldman and all these horrible things. And man, apparently she had some interesting shit. So Miss Kaplan was already famous when she founded her law firm in 2017. So, again, just putting this into perspective, her law firm only made it 7 freaking years, man. I mean, we're not talking about we're not talking about something that has been set up and gone on forever. We're talking about founded in the middle of, really with the Me Too movement kicking off. I mean, she got to be somebody that she had the right things to say in the media. She had the right causes to go after, and she was held up like she was the greatest person ever. None of her nastiness was ever covered. But having won a landmark Supreme Court case that paved the way for marriage equality for gay Americans, the firm soon gained national prominence because of her leadership in the Me Too movement, and more recently, for high-profile victories against white supremacists and former President the Orange Man. Isn't that amazing? Like I said, they talk about her leadership in the Me Too movement. Again, one of the people that helped tank it, but we're not going to hear about that. But those triumphs couldn't overcome an uncomfortable reality, according to people familiar with the law firm's internal dynamics. In the eyes of many of her colleagues, including the firm's 2 other named partners, Miss Kaplan's poor treatment of other lawyers, ranging from micromanagement, that happens, to vulgar insults, to humiliating personal attacks, was impairing the firm that she built, people said. Humiliating personal attacks. So, this is a person, again, that is supposed to be a warrior for equality, fighting behind the scenes to make sure that every voice is heard, baby, But behind the scenes, she's stomping on all the little people. Anybody, because she's right there in charge. It's amazing. It reminds me of so many shows that we have about things like this. You have the forward dynamic, how that's supposed to be, versus. For one thing, they said, she was jeopardizing its ability to recruit and retain valuable employees. So they couldn't go out and get new people. Like, you read between the lines here, she's so bad that word starts getting out that when it comes to new lawyers going in, her business partners are like, yeah, we can't keep you on anymore. Why? Because nobody wants to work here. I mean, think about that. Again, when I heard, I remember this woman talking so much trash and nastiness, going after people. And in reality, like I said, she's just as bad as everything else. Crazy, isn't it? Ms. Kaplan's other partners have also clashed over issues of management and strategy, and some of her colleagues were frustrated by the difficulties of achieving consensus with her. So she's not a lot of fun to work with. Achieving consensus with her. Ms. Kaplan was told last fall that it had become untenable for her to remain on the firm's management committee, a sharp rebuke for a founding member. And remember, we're not talking about a founding member. We are talking about the name that is supposed to bring people in. First name on the door. So last fall, this had been known since last fall. This one, by the way, if you want to read some crazy stuff, you should do a few searches for her name. You should look at all of the just insane people that this woman has been connected to. Because she's dangerous in my opinion. These people, they went in and sculpted a social dynamic for the longest time that pretty much, again, you'd have these catchy little hashtags. Oh, hashtag your time's up, right? Time's up. They were very good at that. But in reality, again, it sounds like they were as bad, if not worse, than some of the people that they wanted to take down. She agreed to step down from the committee. So she ends up getting knocked down off of the firm's management committee there. The decision became a months-long chain of events that culminated this week with her announcing that she's leaving to start a new firm. So she has to step out the door and create a new firm. She got kicked out of her own shit. I'd be like, welcome to that umbrella guy, starring this other guy. You'd be like, what in the world is going on now? Well, we know exactly what's going on. Seems like her time is up, Rear I said. Indeed. I mean, it's beautiful when you think about it. I mean, honestly, if you're sitting there thinking, man, that umbrella guy, you seem to have a hate on for some of these people. I find them to be horrible human beings. They are one of the reasons that accusation culture thrives. They go out, they have built a culture in which an accusation can destroy your life. These accusations, I mean, they're used by horrible people. Absolutely. You've seen that. Again, she represented not just Amber Heard is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. Like you had, famously, Adam Waldman traded some pretty nasty rounds with her. I mean, just tore into her and exposed to the world that she was using, again, this culture, hashtag me too. But the biggest name that had ever been connected to it, Harvey Weinstein, well, she represented the man. Which, he seemed to have he seemed to take zeal in that. That's why they've gone so hard after trying to bury that man. And if you think things, by the way, have calmed down, there's a new Netflix documentary. We'll probably talk about that sometime this week. The the push on trying to get this thing out there. Another one. Why is that happening, you might ask? Because despite this kind of reality right here, where all of this stuff falls apart, they have turned that into one of their election crusades. Like, no joke. If you're like, how in the world does Johnny Depp v. Amber Heard, how is that an election fodder subject? Well, they decided the way that they would get even with not just Depp, but one of Depp's lawyers, Adam Waldman. Again, he's a big name lawyer. If you look him up, you look it up at everything that he's done. I mean, he's been involved in quite a few high profile cases. They decided the way that they would tank him was they would start talking about bots, bot farms. And then they would spin that into election interference. I kid you not. They went after him at the beginning of the year. And if you think, by the way, when I say that, if you think that sounds stupid and silly, it is a stupid and silly idea. But people like Waldman, that has the ability to train wreck him. That has the ability to ruin the man. They went after his reputation. When there were some high power, high profile names attached to it. And meanwhile, like I said, they keep pushing this. They keep pushing these narratives. Like these people are heroes. So, continuing. The seemingly abrupt departure of a legal star. And again, look, like it's amazing. You notice they had to add this in. Look at that. A gay woman who had become a heroic figure to many on the left for her willingness to take on powerful men like the Orange and the Rocket Man. They worked the freaking Rocket Man in here too. The musky one. It's amazing too. You know what's amazing to me? Is how Muskie went from a hero for these people. Remember, he's yet another one. You can love him, you can hate him, I don't care. But he was attached to all of that madness too. The Muskie one was also, he was one of the big names where all of that money for that lawsuit, that's how you got there. He paid the entry fees. The ACLU, biggest donor they ever had. Not one of. No, they credit him with the biggest donor. He ends up putting out all this money. Suddenly, you have a person, they become a spokesperson for them. Now, remember, everything's fallen apart since then. No more talk about spokesperson for the ACLU. Nope. No more talking about certain makeup lines that used to have her attached to it. Nope, they're gone. All of that stuff is falling apart. And in the crosshairs, you have the musky one, Elon. He's right there in the crosshairs now. He's the bad guy. It's amazing to me how that perspective shifted. And it didn't really shift. A lot of people think that it shifted when he bought Twitter. But really, it shifted before that. He started getting in slap fights with politicians. And they were politicians that they really liked. And once that started happening, he started going from a hero that was going to take us to Mars. And a hero that was right there with all the right social dynamics and stuff too. Yeah, he's in the crosshairs. And you notice how they pick and choose. Like again, Miss Kaplan, I told you her resume. Well, she's a gay woman hero taking them down. So it's amazing, isn't it? But that stunned the legal community. But listen to this here. But it has been years in the making. According to interviews with more than 30 current and former colleagues, clients, and others. So, wow. Now again, the puff piece part. Now they say this, look, we did all these interviews. By the way, what do they say? Check this out here. Look at it goes puff piece again. I love it. Like I said, all the puff piece in the world. It tells you how fangless the media is these days too, because they can pat people on the back all freaking day long, telling you the hero and everything else, but ultimately they can't save them. So Miss Kaplan has tirelessly constructed a brand as a go-to lawyer for virtually every liberal cause. This year alone, she won an $83 million jury verdict against the Orange Man for having defamed writer E. Jean Carroll. I said Jane for some reason. Successfully defended researchers sued by Mr. Musk's X Corporation, secured a settlement for the people challenging the Florida law, the critics named Don't Say Gay, and represented President Biden's daughter Ashley in a criminal investigation into who stole her diary. Again, they love the causes, but they never talk about the other stuff. You notice, Time's Up didn't come into this at all. The Time's Up thing was bad. You know, in fact, what's really bad about the Time's Up thing, it was so bad that when the information came out about Time's Up in the beginning, it looked like it would be done. Let's see. Time's Up fraud. Let me see if I can. If you look up Time's Up, sometimes it's hard to even find this stuff anymore. But if you look up Time's Up and you look up the fraud on it, see, this is what you find out. And this actually didn't kill Time's Up. And they didn't, you'll notice this is not in this article, by the way. But I'm going to show you an article from, the Daily Mail. And again, this actually was broken by another outlet. The Daily Mail did not break this specific story. Give me 1 second here. I'm locking it in. I want to show you what they left out here. Okay, you see all the puff piecing, right? Check this out. This is so wild. Here's what they're leaving out of their articles. So here's Time's Up. This is what happened, and this didn't crash Time's Up, by the way, when it happened. Like I said, most people don't even realize that this exists. Okay, Time's Up. Check this out. This is what ended it. What ended Time's Up, it didn't end for another year after all of this gets exposed, because again, Roberta Kaplan was such a media darling, and they never talk about it. It's like this never happened, okay? Listen, Time's Up charities set up by celebrities, it's part of the Me Too, it's celebrities, by the way, spent $1.4 million on salaries, including $157,000 on conferences at luxury resorts. Tax filings reveal that Time's Up organization, they raised, look at the amount of money versus what they spend it on, they raised $3,670,219 in their first operational year. But they spent $1.407 million on salaries alone. So out of your $3.67 million, 1.407 goes to salaries by itself. And $312,000 out of $3.6 million actually went to the stated purpose from Time's Up. Like, think about that. That's crazy. They ended up spending 4 times as much money plus on salaries as they did on helping out. Documents attached to that showed that they spent $157,000 alone on luxury retreats. So they spent $312,000 on their stated purpose, but $157,000. So around half of what they spent on their stated purpose, they spent on one luxury retreat. Almost $1 million was spent on legal costs. $288,000 on advertising. So they spent almost as much on advertising when they went out again, when you thought, man, I am being inundated with this message, time's up, hashtag time's up, that's because it was advertisement. And again, they won't talk about this at all. This is the person that, again, turns out to be an absolute monster. A separate legal defense fund claims to have helped 3,000 women during the first months of 2018 at a cost of $1.7 million coming in from donations. So a comparative organization, something, if you're going to compare apples to apples, one comparative organization spent $1.7 million helping 3,000 women versus, again, they're 312,000, and they were making a lot more money. But most of the fund money came from grants made by the Women's Law Center, while just $132,575 came from the Time's Up Foundation. So, that's interesting, right? Time's Up now, the charitable lobbying, and handed over $179,000. So listen to this. This is worth reading. I'm going to read it quick, but it's still worth seeing. Look how much traction it got, too. But again, this didn't end this. It doesn't even show up in Roberta Kaplan's resume. They never talk about it. It's a dirty secret. Plus, it makes Hollywood look like a bunch of hypocrites because there were over 50 Hollywood stars attached to this. Instead of calling it out and being like, yo, those people that were in charge of this. Remember, it didn't fall apart until Andrew Cuomo. When the Andrew Cuomo scandal broke. Again, I bring these names. I don't give a I don't care if you like them, hate them. I don't give a crap. What you need to understand is it's hypocrisy. I actually don't disagree with what happened with when Roberta Kaplan was talking to Andrew Cuomo, saying, "Hey, this is how you tear those accusations down, from liars." Actually, fine. If people are lying and destroying your life, you should be able to defend. But Time's Up and Roberta Kaplan were founded on the principle. Their entire messaging was founded on the idea that you believe. You don't question. You don't defend. So they were using the strategies we'd been talking about the whole time. They weren't like, oh, you can go out and verify. No. They had built up millions on the idea that they just blindly believe anything. In fact, again, they put together tens of millions of dollars to back that idea. So, Time's Up. The organization set to fight sexual harassment in the workplace in the wake of the hashtag #MeToo movement spent the bulk of the donations of executive salaries and only a fraction on legal costs to help victims in its first year. Tax filings show that the organization, which was founded by Hollywood celebs, again, they love saying that. Look up the founding, though. It wasn't Hollywood celebs that founded it. Look it up. Look how it crashed. It crashed because one of its founding main members, Roberta Kaplan, went down. And it's made up from the Time's Up Foundation and Time's Up Now, Inc., raised again $3.67 million in 2018. However, less than 10% was spent on helping women who had experienced sexual harassment. Filings show, again, you can see the filings on that there below. And again, they did not break this news. Show $312,000 was spent on legal defense fund, while over $1.47 million was spent on salaries. More than $157,000 was spent on conferences. Another $58,000 on travel. The organization brought in Hollywood heavyweights, including Reese Witherspoon, Amy Schumer, Brie Larson. They all held positions on the board. It was just amazing. Like, nobody got called out for this thing. And you can see their advertisement. This was why we were inundated again with this messaging. Everybody thought Time's Up was a hashtag. It wasn't. It was clever business modeling. And even worse, when you think about it, like you want to think about how horrible this stuff is. It was built on accusation culture. It wasn't built on harassment. It was built on accusations. They had built a heavy hitter business, one that probably would have been an endless cash flow had they not screwed up and gotten caught with the Cuomo scandal. And it was built on accusing people, whether or not they were guilty. Like that's madness when you think about it. Again, they talk about people attached. The tax filings detail the mission of Time's Up now being to promote safe, fair, and dignified work for women of all kind. Again, you notice none of this stuff represents all victims either. It never represents all victims of. And really, it represented no victims. I mean, or very few. Very, very few. When you think about $300,000 in the scope of going after a business, like a large scale business, and trying to take them on, that's nothing in the scope of it. That's nothing at all. It's a drop in the bucket. That's very few cases that are actually being worked by this company. We work to make sure that women are free from harassment and other forms of discrimination in the job, have equal opportunity for economic security, and can achieve the highest positions of power wherever they work. But according to the Post, huge amounts were spent on executive salaries instead of legal support. Liz Borders was recruited to head Time's Up, but only spent 4 months at the organization after a 36-year-old son was accused of sexual misconduct. It's weird when that lands like on your doorstep, then you don't believe in that anymore. Nevertheless, the CEO that was there for 4 months managed to pull in $342,000. Wait a minute. So this person who had their 36-year-old son accused made more money in their 4 months there than they actually spent on their stated purpose. The chief marketing officer drew a salary of $295,000 for efforts during the organization's first year. So she made almost as much money as a chief marketing officer than they spent on their stated purpose. And the treasurer, the plundering the treasurer, it sounds like, made $255,000. Man, I need it. Like I said, man, I must be in the wrong freaking fields. You know what sucks about this kind of stuff? You work in community mental health. Ooh, man, you'd be lucky. You know, if you work like in the state of Tennessee, if you work as a case manager, that's a degree, a 4-year degree field. Do you realize that you make under $30,000 a year? That's mad, isn't it? Doing actual work with victims. Like people who work in DHS. I mean, heavy paid. Even a big hitter in that. They've been looking to make $70,000. You make $70,000, you're hitting hard, and you live, say, in Nashville, right? These places that are supposed to be helping out, they don't help anybody. And look at the amount of money they make. Tax filings detail how 3,000 individuals were helped by, again, they said, oh, well, we helped this many people. This is what I meant by comparing apples to apples, where the money comes from. But the money, like I said, it didn't come from Time's Up. The money for those defense funds, for all of that, actually came from the Women's Law Center. Only a small portion of that money came from Time's Up. And the Time's Up Foundation, where they donated $132,575, and Time's Up Now, who ended up handing over $179,426. Aside from executive compensation, tax filings show that Time's Up Now, which is the lobbying arm, was noted to have spent $157,155 on conferences. Those conferences included a retreat here. Check this place out. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't that nice? They spend it here where rooms for the night, they cost upward of $400 a night. How many of those people, those victims, do you think were there, by the way? None. A big fat goose egg. They didn't get put up in places like this. Heck no. This was for all the people who mattered. Despite having been in existence for 6 months, those at the conference struggled to decide what the organization's mission statement should be. So even when they were there, hanging out, doing their thing, they were meeting up to discuss things like, what's our stated purpose, our mission statement? It later changed from let's clean up Hollywood to we're going to help all workers. You notice that too. It went from something that sounded more elitist to something, again, just like the headlines about Roberta Kaplan. She's out there saving the poor and the downtrodden. She's out there. They're all out there helping people like you. Now, they ain't helping anybody. They're helping themselves to the money. Aside from pricey conferences, a country retreats, the organization details in its tax filings how it spent $288,000 on advertising, $940,000 on legal costs, a huge chunk of that, $719,522, went to Arnold and Porter K. Scholler, a law firm that frequently lobbies on Capitol Hill. You got to keep those government wheels rolling. You know, one of the ways that you get friendly legislation that makes sure that it only represents a specific way, is making sure they grease that wheel a certain way, right? A total of $112,435 were given to Rally, a public relations company, according to the tax file. Just say I got a kid coming. Hey, what's it? Oh, did your thing time out? Did it time out on you? Yeah. Okay, I'll fix it. Daddy. I love you too. Oh no, you're not getting the code though. Well, thank you for the kiss there. I appreciate that. Quit trying to read the passcode. I see what you're doing. You're trying to be slick. I quit that. Here you go. Here, take it with you. There you go. No, I know. You take it up. She has a learning tablet, and she doesn't know the passcode to get into it, and it timed out. So she was like, "I love you, Dad. Hey, will you shut that door, baby? Shut it for me. Thank you." But she was like, "I love you, Dad." She laid her head on my shoulder there, and she was trying to spot how I was typing into the thing to figure out. I was like, "Oh, I see what you're doing there." I was like, "I see you, kiddo." She's too cute, too. Oh, it's hilarious. When you look at this, though, getting back to the story here, again, I think all of this should be, when people review this, I want them to know exactly who this person was, because I'm tired of the puff pieces. I'm tired of them pretending that, like, again, Roberta Kaplan is out there representing all the workers. But you can see, safe, fair, and dignified work for women of all kinds. Time's Up insists upon a world where everyone is safe and respected at work. A world where women have an equal shot at success and security. A world where no one lives or fear of sexual harassment or assault. The Time's Up Foundation is the industry and impact arm of Time's Up. We enable more people to seek justice through the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund. We pioneer innovative research driving towards solutions to address systemic inequality and injustice in the workplace through the Time's Up Impact Lab. And we support industry leaders in shifting the paradigm of workplace culture toward one of safety, equality, and dignity for women of all kinds through Time's Up industry change initiatives. You can see again, read about us, look at what we do. I mean, you see how they push that. Now, Time's Up responded to this too. They tried to make excuses at the time, and then they get caught later. Even worse, and it blows them up. But this is what they said at the time too. Time's Up emerged in 2018 from an international movement of reckoning when women across the industries and geographies came together and decided to turn their pain about workplace abuse into action to address systemic inequality. Our first and largest initiative was the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund, a groundbreaking legal advocacy program. Time's Up has now raised millions of dollars from the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund by directing people to a GoFundMe page to make significant pledges in 2018. So you notice this. This money came from folks like you, by the way. They were like, give us money. Please give us money. All of which went directly to the program, and you saw how that program went, right? Which has been housed and administered at the National Women's Law Center Fund from the beginning in order to jumpstart direct support for survivors in need as quickly as possible. Already, they tried to say, oh, look, we've helped out over 5,000 women. Committed over $11 million. Again, this was the spin. I'm not going to read all the spin, though. Look at all the spin. Look at all of it there. And yet, the money to it, again, advertising alone. There's your 719,000. You know, the place here, how they had gotten so much money. And like I said, they make a big deal in their talking points about like certain people that set on this. They were like, oh, well, you know, Weinstein. And yet, she was one of the people that represented Weinstein for the longest time. So you have all these names, and you have the movement that they talked about. They even had to put it in here. They even had to put their statement. Look at what they did here. They were so afraid of blowback. And they got blowback, by the way, for reporting this. All of the places got huge blowback for talking about that. Oh, what a wreck. Now, Roberta Kaplan, with this, her new organization actually came out and attacked all of the folks that were attached to this. It was kind of fascinating to see. And one of the only places, The Advocate, the first place that I showed you, actually goes into some detail about a few of those things. Like you can see it right here. It's at the very bottom. They talk about the controversies. She'd been involved in controversies before. 2021, she resigned as the co-chair board of Time's Up, an organization founded to assist survivors of sexual harassment and assault, after it was revealed that she had advised then New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on his response to allegations that he had sexually harassed employees. Kaplan helped found Time's Up. You notice that was never mentioned. Remember, it was all Hollywood celebs. And its legal defense fund. Cuomo resigned as governor in 2021 after a report from the New York State Attorney General found the accusations against him credible and concluded that he and his associates had committed unlawful retaliation against one of the accusers. So again, the unlawful retaliation, she was part of that. And it's amazing when you read through all of this stuff. Like I said, you read through everything that came up, and you look at what's being stated. her new business partners. They're like, these people, they're just bitter. They're just bitter. They're nobodies. It's absolutely amazing. Hey, by the way, I noticed this funny thing. Since we were talking about, let me move this here. I got like 4 of these popped up here. I went on a rant about Time's Up. Time's Up really bothered me though, because again, it showcased just how bad this stuff was. Oh, the response, by the way, it says this. So here's the response too. Let me throw this in here. In response to questions about her workplace demeanor. Let me throw this in here. Give me 1 minute. In response to questions about her workplace demeanor, the firm's lawyers, Christopher Clark and Virginia F. Tent, accused the Times of trafficking in the hackneyed trope of the powerful professional woman as shrewish, abrasive, and vindictive. They noted that in internal reviews, her colleagues described Kaplan as fostering a sense of support and transparency and making her colleagues feel heard and supported in her teams, in addition to being warm, thoughtful, and empathetic. So this was the response. You all are just you guys here. How dare you? That's a hackneyed trope. You're trying to say that this powerful professional woman, you're trying to make her look shrewish, abrasive, and vindictive. How dare you? And again, the puff pieces on this, they don't even go into the controversies. The one I didn't expect to go into all the controversies actually did. By the way, this actually popped up. I thought this was kind of amazing. So there was a video recently showcasing what a bot farm looked like. Check this out. And no, it's not a bunch of Terminators popping up anywhere. Check this out though. This is madness. I'm going to turn the sound off. Look at this. This is what a bot farm looks like. When you're online and you think, man, that hashtag there, it actually is, it sounds like it's maybe not coming from people. Check this out. I mean, look at it. Like, look at the setup here. This is oftentimes what you're arguing with online. Look at this. Like, isn't that mental? Like, these are the people you're probably debating online. That's how so many of these revisionist flows when they talk about, oh man, you know that case that happened in 2022? We want to talk about it yet again. This is what it really looks like. Right here. This is your bot farm, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, we do think when people say bots, they have overwhelmed places like Twitter. You know, I've shown you bots being built before, but this is what I was looking at pricing on that too. You know, when somebody shows me like a post that doesn't make sense, you know, like it's got not a lot of traffic, or it's got an insane amount of traffic, but not enough as far as the likes don't seem correct. And then the replies, you know, like if you have, like something has 30,000 likes and it has 14 comments, you're like, wait a minute. That's because somebody didn't spend their money on comments. They just spent it on something like this, where again, you know, they could go in and get the views on it because they're inflating views or they're inflating likes, but you have to pay for each of those. And apparently, you know, to get some of that stuff out there, like you can look up. I was curious how much this stuff costs. And what's amazing about it, I think, like if you notice, a lot of the people that do this stuff, they'll have their blue check mark on Twitter. I picked one up because heck yeah, if I'm going to make some money on there while I'm talking about this stuff, heck yeah. But a lot of those people, what I think they do, they end up using bots to push a narrative. They make money and they put it back into their bots. You know, they perpetually force feed that thing. It's crazy, though, isn't it? That's what you're probably arguing with online. So let's see. Now, there's another. Give me 1 second here. I want to read you something. Now, this is crazy because most people don't even realize that this is still going on, by the way, too. The other thing, as far as her. So remember when she sued her own insurance companies? Did you realize that that's still happening? Did you realize that in the claims, again, you can see the discussion about this. So update, New York Marine versus Amber Heard appeals. Amber has filed her final reply. New York Marine has 21 days to answer if they choose. Optional answer on cross appeal. If the judge agrees to reinstate her counterclaim, New York Marine wants all of theirs restated too. Fun times. Fun times indeed, right? So that's still going on. She is still going after her own folks. It's still happening. I mean, just like most people don't realize that when that got shut down, it didn't really get shut down. It is still going on. It's amazing, isn't it? I think that's amazing. Again, date-wise, if you look, we're talking about, this is not an old item either. Just to say, this is in the last few days. This popped up. I marked it as something. I was like, wow, that's kind of curious. I thought we'd actually go through and discuss some of this more in depth. But we will do that on another day because there's a few other things that actually go into it. But that's still going strong. It's crazy. All right. Now, another thing that has happened that is absolutely crazy right now. Give me a second here. I want to lock in on this story because this is wild. This has been popping off all day long here. You know those people that they go after predators, right? Well, this guy here, he has been going after predators quite successfully for some time. When I say predators, I'm talking about people who prey on children. Now, in the last 2 predator poaching sessions that he's had, he's kind of gone off script. He picked up somebody connected politically, somebody connected, they have the wrong identity. I think anybody that poaches kids, by the way, that's going out trying to endanger children, they should be fair game. Don't you agree? I think all of you would agree with that, right? If somebody's out there preying on kids, it doesn't matter what their identity is. It doesn't matter who they vote for. All of that should go out the window, right? This guy, though, once he locked in on the quote-unquote wrong people to identify, guess what happened? He started getting banned everywhere. Everywhere. In fact, if you look up articles about the video, the last one with the confrontation, where he's taking down a predator that went after a 14-year-old, guess what you find out there? You find out that the video has been taken down. That he's been banned on every platform, including Twitter. The wonderful free speech platform that goes out and defends Yahtzee's ability to speak. Well, apparently you don't have the ability to speak if you go out and you silence predators. Fascinating, isn't it? So he put out a statement about this today. And of course, this will get enough blowback. He will be reinstated on Twitter. But everywhere else, he'll get ghosted for it. It's just crazy. So let's see what he had to say about this.
So in the past year, after asking Hillary Clinton about her Epstein connections, after exposing the head of the LGBTQ Dems in Maryland, Michael Nampkin, after doing a
Michael Nampkin, that's the person that I'm talking about, by the way. After catching them, again, 14-year-old, they thought, they were going to go and do a meetup with a 14-year-old. It's usually okay to expose people like that, right? He went off social, again, He went off the social narrative. He starts asking the wrong questions, and then he starts exposing the wrong people. Bam.
Yesterday with an outsider Secretary of State candidate in Missouri, it looks like Twitter has had enough of our shenanigans pulling the veil off pedophilia. After arrests in 46 different states, with the exception of Alaska, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Montana, everywhere else we have an arrest, even Hawaii, Twitter finally said no more of this. They don't want to show our work. They think, for whatever reason, we're breaking the rules, even though they gave us no reason at all. At 293,000 followers, about 500 subscribers, they just put the axe on us. We appreciate everybody that's sharing what's going on with the I Fight for Kids account. Again, no reason was given. We believe that's mass reporting from somewhere. I don't really know where, but it shouldn't matter. That needs to be fixed. And what we do, I believe we get good results from what it looks like. So, I mean, I don't know why Twitter would want to axe this. I mean, we really thought that Elon Musk was promoting a free speech platform, that he was supporting ending child exploitation, and apparently not. So please keep sharing this. Everybody that has shared it, we really, really appreciate it. Y'all are going to bat for us. I mean, we're kind of in Twitter purgatory right now. I can still kind of read tweets. I just can't really post or interact. So we see what's going on. We're watching from the heavens here. So thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. Share the shit out of this. We need I Fight for Kids account back, and we need pedos to be stopped. So, Twitter, balls in your court.
Now, again, 293,000 followers. Not only that, arrests all over. They've exposed some major predators, by the way. And then all suddenly, bam, taken down. And again, remember, Twitter, they promote themselves as a quote-unquote free speech platform, and yet, again, here's the ban on that, too. Now, it probably is, they're probably right that it is the byproduct of mass flagging. But here's the problem. This is a real problem for you. This account will get reinstated. I'm willing to bet on that, because there's enough public backlash about it that they will actually end up getting in there. If you're, some people are asking how to share that. Just look up, just look up this name right here. Alex Rosen. If you go on Twitter, you look that up, you'll find all of this. You'll find the video right at the top. Go share it. Make a lot of noise about it. Even if they reinstate it, make a lot of noise about it. Because at the end of the day, I'm tired of this kind of stuff happening. Because what happens here, 99% of people that are banned on social media don't have the followings where you can fight and actually get reinstated. You can't make enough noise to get reinstated. And it happens all the time on these quote-unquote free speech platforms. I mean, again, they've made a big show about, with Elon Musk, you know, him telling Disney, you know, to basically F themselves. Him going out and funding different lawsuits, including like the Gina Carano one. You know, we've had all this high-profile publicity, and during that, you know, they made a big deal about how they allow freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. You know, they would essentially park a message that they found too controversial. They'd park it on the sideline and not give it any type of growth. But that's not the case. People are getting banned quite a bit. And these folks were fine until they started asking the wrong folks questions I guess they weren't supposed to ask. See, I find that disturbing. Like I said, again, if you're out there, I mean, I say this to anybody, if you think that your political affiliation or your social affiliation or an identity affiliation, whatever, that means that you need to protect somebody that, again, is doing like hookups with 12, 13, 14-year-olds. If you watch some of these places too, how they do their stings, oh my God, man. Some of the things that these people do. There was one of these predators recently that there was confrontation at a store, and one of the predator poachers ended up getting pow-powed in the leg because somebody brought a firearm to it. And everybody focused on the fact that the predator poacher got shot in the leg. And I kept thinking, why do you think that guy brought a firearm to a meetup with a kid in the first place? That should really disturb people. See, it's almost like the sky has been ripped open and predators are just falling out of it. They're everywhere. And now more than ever, I mean, again, in an electronic front, what I find really disturbing is law enforcement, they don't spend any time going after people through social media. You know, whether that's funding, whether that's laws, or whether that's the fact that they don't care. These places, and again, everyone is entitled to a defense. Everybody, obviously. These places, they put together pretty heavy amounts of proof. It's been amazing to me when you look through the discussion. One of the last videos from Alex Rawson here, the police actually sounded off on it, and they were like, "Yeah, we appreciate them bringing that up, but we hope they never do it again." It's like, wait, what? What? Well, it's because, you know, that could promote some type of danger. That it was okay when, you know, they would support a Chris Hansen, you know, when all of that stuff was going on. But they don't support. Like I said, this guy nailed a very prominent YouTuber at one time. A guy that has tried to offend more than once. That's how his name, you know, shot out there. And now we're sitting on, again, a suspension. It's not just that platform. We're talking about platforms all over the internet. But there was this monster movement that came out of Reddit to get this guy banned from everything. I'm like, why? Why? Because, again, nobody had a problem with him until recently. And recently, it got into the wrong politics. For Reddit, I'm saying. It got into the wrong social, got into the wrong identity-laden stuff. And that, to me, that's frightening, because that stuff should be set aside. I don't care. Again, if a person is voting the way that you like, or if they're out there fundraising, campaigning, you shouldn't want them in your... You shouldn't want that. You shouldn't want that represented at all. And you should definitely not want that represented with your identity. You know, when we're talking about making people see people as people, we shouldn't get into the P should not be added to any identifier. And it's insane to me that, again, there are people out there mass flagging people down to make sure that they don't talk about how, instead of getting rid of that and purging that, the new damage control is to destroy the person that's out there predator poaching. I mean, that's wild to me. Whew. This is a big problem right here. I'll give updates on this as it goes along, but even if he's reinstated again on Twitter, he won't be reinstated on most platforms. The media barely, like, if you look the name up too, it just ghosted out of headline searches. Like, you should, if you want a fascinating look at how this is going, and you want to see that this isn't just like Reddit doing it, go look in Google, look up his name, and you'll find under all, you'll find certain articles that'll pop up that'll talk about the last few predator poachings. But when you start looking in the news, they don't show up. It's not newsworthy anymore. That's done with control over the algorithm. And that should disturb people. So we'll do updates with that. And again, I'm going to guess that they are definitely going to get reinstated, but. Now, give me 1 second. I want to pull up something because this has caused a lot of outcry. I don't 1 minute here. This is happening. This is all over the place, by the way. If you have seen the Prince Harry headline, this is kind of wild. So, Prince Harry ends up receiving the Pat Tillman Award. And this has hit like a freaking shockwave. You know? This has hit like a freaking shockwave. You know, you've had Pat Tillman's mother respond to this, talking about how horrible and absurd that is. Let me pull up the headline to it. Because like I said, I thought this was kind of wild to see. You know, usually, again, I don't know enough about royals or anything else. Like that's not in my coverage typically. But when I see, you know, Pat Tillman, I remember everything that popped off with Pat Tillman and how you ended up with the award. You know, like they talk about here. And again, look at all these freaking pop-ups, by the way. Give me a second. Serious, man, I click on Sports Illustrated. Like I said, I don't turn off all my pop-ups because I try to reward places that cover real news with something. But I didn't realize, like, I was like, wait a minute. I clicked on Sports Illustrated. They're the place that gave out that award. And yeah, they got enough pop-ups to drown a computer. So give me a second there. I'm re-locking this in. So check this out. Here's if you don't know anything about a Pat Tillman. So again, this gives a breakdown. It's a very weak synopsis of what happened, by the way. But I note in the 20 years since his tragic death in friendly fire in Afghanistan, the legacy of former Arizona State linebacker and Arizona Cardinal defensive back Pat Tillman has only grown. His selflessness, his courage, sense of perspective have inspired Americans of all backgrounds. However, the complex relationship between Tillman, the man, and Tillman, the posthumous symbol, has occasionally led to controversy. Exhibit A. ESPN's recent decision to give an award named for Tillman to Prince Harry for his work with veterans. I mean, this is kicked off. I was like, good Lord. You know, I don't follow a lot of folks that cover just exclusive stuff as far as like Meghan Markle, Harry, or the world, because I don't understand it. Again, I'm in the U.S. South. It doesn't mean the same thing to me, you know. But I see some of the craziness that pops off with this. However, I saw a lot of it because it crosses over into sports. It crosses over again into military. It crosses over in discussions with Pat Tillman and so much more. So on Saturday, Tillman's mother, Mary, told the Daily Mail in London that Prince Harry was a poor fit for the award. Quote, yeah, look at how they framed that. They were like, she described it as a poor fit, right? And it doesn't, it's like, no, that's not exactly. She's like, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Like, that's not like you saying, oh, that's a poor fit. No, I'm shocked as to why they would select such a controversial and divisive individual to receive the award. There are individuals working in the veteran community that are doing tremendous things to assist veterans. These individuals do not have the money the resources, the connections, or privilege that a Prince Harry has. I feel that those types of individuals should be recognized. ESPN, they respond to the criticism of the selection Monday morning, insisting it had the support of the Tillman Foundation, which was founded by Pat Tillman's widow. And they said, ESPN, with the support of the Tillman Foundation, is honoring Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, specifically for the work of the Invictus Games Foundation as it celebrates its 10th year promoting healing through the power of sports for military service members and veterans around the world. While we understand not everyone will agree with all honorees selected for the award, the Invictus Games Foundation does incredible work, and ESPN believes it's a cause worth celebrating. Now, again, what's fascinating to this, the controversy, and this is sad in its own way too. The controversy actually, this is my problem with it. It's overshadowing what this is supposed to be about. It's the same thing. I'll see this pop off in mental health sometimes. We'll have something controversial come up, and it's like, the whole purpose in this is to make veterans visible. Because in the United States, veterans are treated terribly. I have multiple veterans in my family. And some of the things that they go through, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And when you have something like this overshadowing, an award that makes veterans visible, like they're becoming visible here, but are they really? Because the headline here, it's talking about the Pat Tillman Award, which is good. You want something talked about, but it's actually all about Prince Harry. That's not good. Because it's the controversy surrounding. Everyone's talking about how, as far as Harry is concerned, the qualifications here, his military background or lack thereof. I mean, all that controversy. Every time I saw this come up, it doesn't highlight anything positive associated with veterans. And that's a damn shame, really. Because typically this is an invisible award. Nobody talks about it at all. It wouldn't even get a blip. Well, maybe it'd get a blip, right? But it wouldn't get dozens of articles written about it. What it took to make veterans visible in this is it took chaos and controversy. And again, this is all supposed to be about helping people. And that, to me, that's a shame. And I do think, when they look at the selection there, I actually do think, Hollywood says they do this, okay, for example, when they go out and they pick out a movie, they're going to spotlight some smaller organization that's going in and they're doing great work. They're doing all these things. That's supposedly what they do. They mime it there, right? But that idea is a good idea. I'm not comparing one to the other, a Hollywood award versus this. What I'm saying is the idea that's there is actually a great idea. And when Tillman's mother talked about it, I kind of see and agree what she's saying there. She's saying, look, there are a lot of places with no resources. There are a lot of places that could really, they might get a boost in donations. They might be able to go out there and they're doing really positive work. And this thing, it could be utilized for that. Again, she said, I'm shocked as to why you would select a controversial and divisive individual. Why would you do that? Why would you overshadow this? There are many folks out there Again, they're not those things. They're doing tremendous work, and they don't have money. They don't have resources. They don't have connections. They don't have privilege there. Those folks, you don't just recognize them to give them pats on the back. You recognize them so they can get more funding. And like I said, I agree with that. When I saw this come up, that's the only thing I could think about it. Again, there are people much more qualified. If you want to talk about the Prince Harry items in that and argue over whether this should happen or it shouldn't happen, there are people much more knowledgeable in that. But for me, for this to pop on my radar at all, it's because of the divisiveness that came up with it. It didn't just trend. It ended up trending big for a while. It ended up, again, getting connected not just to people talking about royals or Prince Harry or Meghan Markle or, whatever else works in there. Again, you can tell I have a limited knowledge on that. But it went into the sports arena. It went into veterans discussions, everything else. And again, the only reason it gets brought up is because of divisiveness. And that's sad. That's sad. That's depressing to me. That is. I would love to see that amount of attention given to something positive for once. Now, Kanye West. Kanye West. I'm going to pick out I'm going to go with the more salacious headline for this, okay? Just because. It was like, what the what now? So Kanye West is sued yet again. Yet again. Now, why is Kanye being sued, you might ask? Well, check this out here. Kanye West sued employees allegedly called new slaves. Whoa, wow. Whoa, that's not good. Bianca allegedly sent prawn to staff accessible to minors. Oh no. Kanye West created an app to promote his rap music, fostering a racist environment with brutal work conditions, while his wife sent prawn videos to staff which were accessible by minors, according to a new lawsuit. The bombshell lawsuit, filed in U.S. court, named Yee and Milo Yiannopoulos. That's a name I have not heard in a while, by the way. Yet another one. The suit alleges that Kanye and company engaged in, quote, forced labor and cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment. Now, Milo Yiannopoulos here, he's put out a statement that was on, give me 1 second here. You can see this is brand new when I read the statement. I want to make sure, like, when you see the dates on stuff, again, you have a statement with it, but again, this is a brand new lawsuit stuff coming up. So, he was like trying to distance from this for a little while. He was like, I cannot be complicit in the production or dissemination of pornographic files and literature for moral and religious reasons, but also because such material and the kind of people invariably involved in its production represent an imminent danger to my life as a recovering addict and an unacceptable risk to my spiritual and physical health as a former homosexual. I render my resignation. I will deliver an orderly handover by, again, the 31st. This was included in there. Or the first pornography shoot, whichever is sooner. If at some time in the future the company publicly and permanently abandons any plan to that, well, I'd be happy to serve you again. Now, the two were accused of making false promises to pay their adult and minor employees and forcing them to work insanely long hours as they were openly mocked with racist jabs and called, quote-unquote, new slaves. It all started, again, these are accusations. I want to make that very clear. I'm just covering yet another Kanye. You know what's bad about Kanye West articles, though? Like, I've seen what Kanye felt comfortable putting out into the public. I've seen it myself. I remember the controversy when Kanye, he got in trouble for his Yahtzee statements. I'm sure all of you folks remember that too. When you go through that, yeah. I mean, again, I'm not saying they did or did anything. Again, that is to solve in court. You can look through the evidence, and we'll look through the lawsuits. We'll actually look through some lawsuits for it. But Kanye stuff, he has some of the wildest shit that comes up as far as lawsuits and more. I mean, my lord. So it all started in the spring of 2024 when Ye decided to launch whatever, YZY VSN streaming service app to rival title Spotify and Apple Music. The suit says that Ye wanted to avoid paying those companies to promote his new album, Vulture and Vultures 2. So he, this time of year, that sounded like I was doing a Michael Jackson impersonation for a minute. So he and Milo allegedly hired an international developer group comprised of several black members, which also included underage teens as young as 14. The doc says that the employees mostly worked remotely, staying in constant communication with Ye, Milo, and their team by using digital and online. My God, this freaking thing keeps trying to load pop-ups all over it. It's nuts. It keeps going to the wait. It's loading more. I'm like, don't load. Give me 1 second. I'm going to reload this, okay? I'm going to have to just start pop-up blocking everything for the sake of it. I hate that because, places, again, if I read through an article and I'm not trying to, give me 1 second here. I'm not trying to, again, laugh at some stupid. I'm just, I might be laughing at stupid, but I'm not laughing at them specifically, when they cover it. I do try to give them a click in it, but yeah. So, again, starting that up, which also included underage teens as young as 14. The doc says the employees mostly work remotely, staying in constant communication with Ye, Milo, and their team using digital and online communication apps such as Discord, Zoom, and Slack. In April 2024, the doc says Milo promised to pay $120,000 to the developer group after they completed the app if they agreed to the work conditions and didn't complain. But things quickly went downhill. The suit says that Ye ordered all employees to sign non-disclosure agreements, threatened to fire the minors, and refusing to pay them if they didn't. Minor developers were also required to sign volunteer agreements. You're a volunteer now because you're a minor, because you're not supposed to be doing this work. Oh, Lord. Then Ye's white managers, who oversaw the foreign and minority workers, allegedly used disparaging language to create a hostile work environment. In group chats, the Caucasian managers used harassing language toward the underlings in regards to their age, race, gender, sexual orientation, and national origin. Some team members were called slaves, while others were referred to as new slaves. The doc says that Milo once sent a chat message with a black-brown skin emoji to an African-American team member while calling a younger worker a school shooter. That actually, what's about that? I could see Milo. I've seen some stuff that Milo. I remember him from, what was it, 2016? When he had his big day in the sun. Yeah, again, Lord. The employees were also bullied into long work hours through the night without pay or sleep. Then in late April, Ye announced it was launching an adult film biz called Yeezy Porn. You know what's bad? Oh, so this is funny. Megan Fox is always like, when people get to a point where they embrace like a certain image, what do they end up launching? They launch porn industry. Like always, like without fail. And it's funny because it's kind of true. Like when your image gets to a certain point, it's like when people want to embrace this negative aspect of it, what do? They release their own porn brand. With his wife, sending one worker a file-sharing link containing hardcore sexual activities. The minors were not shielded from viewing the smut videos as they developed his porn app. She was not named as a defendant. So, I mean, again, like, that's messed up. You hire a bunch of minors, you want them to put together an app. What's the app for? Oh, it's for your new porn business. That's not, I'm not even shocked by anything anymore. Every now and then something shocks me. I'm like, holy God. I say that a lot anyway, but nothing, I mean, I'm just not shocked by the depravity of human beings. We're not talking about it. See, we're not talking about them putting together an app like that. That was not what I said. They said it to freaking. They had kids or minors working on it. 14-year-olds working on their app, according to the lawsuit. On May the 1st, after an intense rush period to produce the app, the team allegedly presented Ye with one of the finished apps, but it's not clear in the docs which one. Ye and Milo allegedly never paid the employees for their hard work, leading them to file a lawsuit. The suit is asking for damages for unpaid wages, overtime, as well as emotional distress. And I haven't looked up to actually see if Ye and Milo, if Kanye has not responded to this, that's actually its own kind of state. Let me see if Kanye's actually got a response. Kanye responds. just look up Kanye responds. Oh Lord, because if it's that's he responds to so much stuff. This is what pops up in it. Billie Eilish responds to Kanye West, asking to apologize to Travis Scott. That's not it. Kanye West and Boozy exchange messages in response to Ye's claims of inventing every genre. Some of these, like, that's not what I'm looking for, but that's kind of funny, I have a bunch of stuff with him responding. He's been all over responding to sexual harassment allegations, but there's no response to this yet. Now, that in and of itself, that doesn't indicate guilt. But for Kanye, typically Kanye fires off something that's, sometimes. And he hasn't fired, I'm not saying he won't, but typically he fires off pretty fast about it. When he was accused of harassment, for example, his first response, like right out the gate, was, you stole, he was saying to the person alleging it, he's like, you stole a lot of things, including Jay Leno's chin. It's like, wait a minute, did you just go after poor Jay Leno in that? Oh, Lord. All right, let's get this on here. Okay, that's funny. There's, let me hit this right. Hey, what's up, John? Thanks for the 20. There's a guy calling himself Ethan is online. Apparently had beef with Alex Ross, and I wonder if that's the source of the flagging. He even talks negatively about the Sound of Freedom, calling it a right-wing hoax. It's possible. Like, the Alex Rawson thing, the reason the reason that, I mean, he got so much crap is, again, if you looked at the articles before many of them got pulled down, they noted political affiliation. They noted the last person that ended up getting predator poached. They had Democrat Party affiliation. You also had their orientation. It was brought up. You know, it wasn't brought up. I don't know if it was brought up as far as like specific orientation, but you had LGBTQ, and man, I mean, people freaked out about not the fact. See, I could have understood if there was blowback saying, "Well, that's not indicative of everyone that identifies as." I you know, that's different, but that wasn't the response to. The response was, "Shut this person down." So, oh, it was crazy. Real Rye, thanks for the 2. Hashtag yikes. That's Laura Owens' 13 phones talking about the bot place. Yes, indeed. Also, Dreamcatcher, thank you for the super sticker on there, too. Appreciate that. Nikki, thanks for the 22 months there. State Roggentug, thank you. Appreciate that. And we are going to cut it short here. That's pretty much for the day. It's been an interesting kickoff to the month, though. I was like, my Lord. And again, you know, off the beginning, again, thank you, Tease T, for the 20 gifted memberships. I very much appreciate that. I appreciate Fallen Hero. Thank you for the gifted membership. And also Bessie and Janice. I appreciate that. I hit those earlier, but I wanted to make sure. I try to keep them caught up. But I'm going to call it a day here. I think it's a good time to, yeah. I appreciate you, and I'm sure we'll be back at it tomorrow. Thank you.